Welcome to Tech Bytes and News, your daily roundup of articles featured in Hacker News. Today, we're diving deep into a fascinating article about the complexities of pointers and the need for better language specifications in compiler IRs. It's a real head-scratcher, but incredibly important for compiler correctness.
I'm all ears. Pointers are notoriously tricky, even for experienced programmers. What's the core problem this article highlights?
The core issue is that seemingly correct compiler optimizations, when chained together, can lead to incorrect program behavior. The article uses LLVM as an example, but the problem transcends specific compilers. It boils down to the lack of precise semantics in compiler intermediate representations, IRs.
So the optimizations are individually sound, but their combination causes issues? That's counterintuitive.
Precisely. The author illustrates this with a series of 3 optimizations applied to a simple C program. Each optimization seems reasonable in isolation, but the final optimized code exhibits behavior impossible in the original code. It's a subtle bug, but a critical one.
And what's the root cause of this insidious behavior? Is it a flaw in the optimization algorithms themselves?
Not exactly. The problem stems from the imprecise specification of LLVM-IR's semantics. The article argues that compiler IRs need to be treated as proper programming languages with rigorously defined behavior, including undefined behavior, UB. Without this precision, it's impossible to guarantee the correctness of optimizations in isolation.
I see. So the lack of a precise definition allows for these seemingly correct optimizations to interact in unexpected ways, leading to the miscompilation?
Exactly. The article uses a clever example involving pointer integer casts and one-past-the-end pointers to highlight the importance of provenance, the extra information about how a pointer's address was derived. This provenance is crucial for correct alias analysis, but it's often implicitly handled, leading to inconsistencies.
Interesting. So the compiler is essentially making assumptions about the provenance of pointers that aren't explicitly stated in the IR specification? That sounds like a recipe for disaster.
Absolutely. The author argues that the solution is to explicitly define provenance in the IR specification. This would make it clear what information constitutes a value, including provenance and initialization status. This would allow for a more robust UB checking interpreter, making it easier to verify the correctness of optimizations.
But wouldn't explicitly defining provenance add significant complexity to the IR specification and potentially impact compiler performance?
That's a valid concern. The article acknowledges the trade-offs. However, the author argues that the current approach, where provenance is implicitly handled, is even more problematic because it leads to unpredictable miscompilations. A more precise specification, even if more complex, would provide a much more solid foundation for compiler correctness.
So the article advocates for a more formal, mathematically rigorous approach to defining the semantics of compiler IRs?
Not necessarily a fully formal mathematical definition, but a more explicit and comprehensive specification that clearly outlines all aspects of program behavior, including UTMB. The author points to projects like Miri for Rust and Alive for LLVM as examples of efforts in this direction. These tools help in uncovering subtle issues and improving the precision of IR specifications.
It sounds like a significant undertaking, but a necessary one to ensure the reliability of compilers, especially for languages like Rust, C, and C++ that allow for unsafe pointer manipulation.
Absolutely. The article concludes by emphasizing the importance of treating compiler IRs as first-class programming languages, deserving the same level of rigorous specification as normal programming languages. It's a call for a more systematic approach to compiler development, prioritizing correctness over optimization speed in certain critical areas.
It's a compelling argument. Thanks for summarizing this complex topic so clearly. It really highlights the hidden depths of seemingly simple concepts like pointers.
My pleasure. And that's all the time we have for today's Tech Bytes and News. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time for another deep dive into the fascinating world of technology. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.